it's perception. And what can happen is if you can clear how the mind is perceiving a situation, intellect gets stronger, intuition strengthens, creativity strengthens, ability to strategize and be strategic strengthens, which is what every entrepreneur needs in order to have the energy, the fuel, the focus, the clarity to go after the dreams that they have deep in their heart. And so fear is really the thing that's getting in the way. So that is what I help a lot of people do, is just clear this fear.
So this episode I'm really excited about because I have known Megan since 2018, and we have gone through some deep soul journeys together, built some businesses individually, shared ideas and pitfalls and hard knocks in those journeys. And she has just such wisdom when it comes to managing our human. So when we build and scale businesses, we have to learn how to manage ourselves, our psychology, our body, our emotions to get us to do the things that we need to do in order to execute, because we can't win in business or life if we don't execute. But we struggle to execute consistently or make good decisions because we have a filter on how we view things, or we have a dysregulated nervous system. So Megan has been so intricate in my life in helping me to navigate these different things, but also very much on her own journey too. So Megan, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too. Let's go. I'm ready.
So we met
Excited to be here.
The Christine Hassler event in 2018, which was definitely a spiritual, reflective thing. We both went alone, and we met in the check-in line, and we're like fast friends and pretty much inseparable since then. And you've been with me through my mom dying, through relationship turmoils, through business turmoils, through betrayals, through things that have been challenging for me to navigate. And you've helped me see perspectives that maybe I didn't always see because I was in it. So how did you get to the place where you realized that having a regulated nervous system was critical for human performance?
Yeah. So the first thing I'll start off with, when I first started to learn about the body and the biochemistry of the body, I was so fascinated with stress and the adrenals and how the body works. And so I want to first just share something that really woke me up. And this was in 2016. I was going through a divorce. We're going to get right into it, right? We're going to get right to the deep stuff. I was going through my certification as an FDNP and learning all about the biochemistry of the body, hormones, adrenals, gut health, how stress affects the body, the mind, everything. And I remember standing in my kitchen, and I told my ex-husband at this time, can I cuss on here, by the way?
Yeah, go for it. Whatever the heck you want to say.
Okay. I was like, thanks so much. This is definitely going to fuck up my adrenals, because I knew the impact of stress, even though I was like really going after my dream of becoming an FDNP. And what that is helping you find the root cause of what's going on with your body so that you can be balanced, so that you can have an optimal body, optimal health. And so I knew that like I was following my dreams. I was going after something that I was really passionate about. But at the same time, I was going through a very challenging life situation. And I knew I needed to fuel my body in a way to support all of my body systems. So I was learning that. I feel like that's an important piece just to start with, because I was learning about, oh my gosh, the impact of stress. How can I be preventative with this? And so that's what I started doing. As at the time, I was an instructional coach. I worked in the school systems, one of the biggest school systems in Texas. And I was an instructional coach for science teachers. And I thought that was my dream job. I got the job. It added so much stress to my life. I was so wrong. And I learned so much about myself and people pleasing and leadership and just things in that role. And so I knew that, like, okay, if I'm going through a challenging situation, like if I can go through a divorce, I can also launch a business.
Mhm.
Like, choose your hard, right? And so as I started to go down that journey of entrepreneurship, I knew at the same time that, like, okay, this is hard. It's hard. It's stressful. There's ups, there's downs. How am I taking care of my body? And so that's always been a value of mine. How am I nourishing my body? How am I taking care of my body? And that's really just knowing that from the beginning. And I haven't been perfect at it, by the way. We can talk about that too. Just knowing, going through stressful times, whether that's in life or with business, supporting the body, because you have something when you're going through stress called magnesium burn rate. You burn through certain minerals and you have to be able to replenish that. It's just like filling up a gas tank. Have energy to fuel what you're doing, what you're going after. But yeah, I hope that answers your question there.
Yeah, when I think though about your journey, right? You had the ideal career path that you thought you were going to go on. And I like to say we have a right to change our mind, because sometimes we think a path is going to be our path. And then we start going down that path and we realize, no, I don't really like this path. It's not for me. It's not resonating. It's not fulfilling. So I love like the permission we can give ourselves to change our minds, and that's part of the evolution process. That's how we learn and grow, is changing our minds and experimenting and trying new things. That though, a lot of people don't have the awareness around mind body soul connection. I think that's becoming so much more prominent now, is what we think and feel affects our biology, and our biology becomes our biography. Like, all of those things are now conversations that are being had. But still, sometimes it's hard to get ourselves to do it, especially entrepreneurs, because we're such high achievers and we're so driven by getting shit done and working hard and having a goal and pursuing it, that we over and over and over again, unintentionally, even wanting the awareness, still we can find ourselves trapped in our businesses, spread too thin, and in that stressful state, which is a lot of who you support, is people who find themselves ambitious, driven, hard charging, ready to go, excited about the things they're pursuing in their life, yet they need to take their body with them. And how do we prevent burnout? What are signs of burnout coming? And then how do we recover from burnout or prevent it in the future, so that we can build and scale businesses without sacrificing our relationships, our sanity, and our health?
Yeah. So first of all, let's go over the signs of burnout. So if you're dealing with burnout, or you think you could be dealing with burnout, energy is number one. Like, how is your energy? Do you wake up feeling energy in the morning? That's when our cortisol is the highest. You should feel high energy in the morning. Then as you go through your day, your cortisol should taper off. If you're feeling that midday slump, that means your adrenals need a little support. You're dealing with that fatigue. Same thing with that night. If you just feel exhausted and you are just drained and it's hard to keep your eyes open. So energy is number one. And also, if you feel like this, I feel energy and then I feel low, and then I feel energy, and then I feel low. It's just like an up and down, right? It's showing us something about, you should have consistent energy throughout the day. So energy being number one. Body signs, I would say digestive issues. If your body's giving you symptoms, it's the last to show up in the body. So like stress happens, and then you might feel like I feel the rush of energy in my body, or I feel mental pressure or stress. You know that. But then it could be later that you start to suffer from physical symptoms that are caused from chronic stress from your past.
So I get that.
Yeah.
It manifesting in your body is a trailing indicator of you being overcommitted, overstressed, over capacity, over leveraged, spread too thin. It's a trailing indicator. Is like a migraine an example of it? Or is it like you have two herniated discs in your neck and you're on bed rest? What level is like, hey, pay attention?
Yeah, I would say everyone's symptoms can be unique to them. So there's not just like that, this migraine is because you're dealing with burnout. There could be a lot of different reasons why. It could be a food sensitivity, it could be lack of hydration, it could be lack of sleep. So like there could be different reasons why a migraine is setting in. I would say, the body pain is an indication that you're avoiding something. And it feels better to feel the pain than like maybe feel an emotion that you've been stuffing down or suppressing for a long time. And so a lot of times when people are going through pain, if you're talking about the disc in your back, it's like, well, what are you avoiding feeling? What have you been pushing down? What is a stressor that you're not looking at and like finding, that you've been in a lot of judgment with, or you've been very self-critical with? Where can you just find some time to have some acceptance for that? And then find a strategy. So like a lot of like back pain, is it finances? Is it money issues? Have you been avoiding finding a strategy with that? Have you been self-critical and judging what your financial situation is? And can you first just start there internally first, which is what we do a lot, Staci. It's like, can we look within first and then find a strategy externally that's going to help you? So going back to your question of burnout, like it can show up in a lot of different ways. Digestive issues, hormonal issues, headaches, even skin issues, right? But the big one with burnout is your sleep. So are you finding that you're having trouble falling asleep, or you're waking up in the middle of the night because your mind is so focused on finding a solution or focused on business or focused on the next thing, that what's happening is your nervous system is thinking that you're in danger. There's a perceived threat. Mm-hmm. And it's trying to find a solution when the body wants to just calm down, go to sleep, but it's hard to shut that off. So I would say that can be a sign of burnout when you feel like you're wired and tired. Another sign of burnout would be lacking motivation, lacking that zest that a lot of entrepreneurs have when they first start a business. We want to fuel this purpose. There's, a lot of us have the value of freedom. We want to have freedom. We want to have the, freedom of our schedule, freedom of our time, financial freedom. It's like a big value of entrepreneurs. However, when we start getting in our business and we are doing everything externally and not looking internally, we're not really getting the freedom that we are desperately looking for. And we think the next promotion in our job or the next client that we get or the next financial breakthrough or the next program we create is going to give us that. And we end up putting the pedal to the metal, burning our bodies out, where we're depleting our mineral reserves. And we end up getting there and it's like, but I feel depleted. I feel depleted and drained. And now I'm lacking the passion, the motivation, the momentum that I first had when I originally started. So I know I kind of got off on a tangent there, but that's kind of like a path of burnout with an entrepreneur. It's like going through the body symptoms, the motivation is lacking, all of that.
Yeah, I can resonate with this, plus all of my clients and all the entrepreneurs that I'm involved in. We are super passionate, and then we drive really, really hard, and we burn ourselves out, and then the reward, we're like, yay, we got it, and intellectually we're super excited about it, but physically or relationally we're like, okay, we're here, but I'm a little bit now, I want to go to sleep for a week type of feeling, because it's a lot of pressure on our system to get there. And I think sometimes, and I've done this, like I've started to now parallel my life in an eyes open world and an eyes closed world. And my eyes open world is where I materialize all of the eyes open earthly rewards that I'm seeking. Time freedom, travel, bank account, relationships, all of that. And then my eyes closed world is that inner peace, that inner congruence, that joy, peace, love that is only found in the parts of us that is untouchable by anybody else. And that version of us needs tending to, but we often, and I have done this, neglected that version of me. Like it's not visible, it's not tangible, it's not actively present in my world, and everything else is so tangible that it doesn't feel real. And then there's a moment, and I think so many entrepreneurs face this moment where they get to that is enough is enough. I can't keep operating like this. I've got to do something different. I need to bring in some type of, business operating systems, life operating systems, human operating systems. Like, how do I even manage my human to have my eyes open and eyes closed world in parallel? Now, I feel like we get to that moment as entrepreneurs when we hit a crisis. So revenue dropped in half, a player just quit. There's some black swan, economic, political, something just sideswipes us and makes us realize like the foundation from which we built this on needs to be reinforced. And some of that could be very much operational systems and people. And some of it I have found more so than not, is the operating system of my human. Blair Singer, a Rich Dad advisor, talks about when emotions run high, intelligence runs low. And our job as business leaders and CEOs is to think and make good decisions. But the only way for us to think and make good decisions is if our decision-making vessel is well trained and well conditioned. And we think our decision-making vessel is our intellect. But it's not just our intellect. The intellect or mind and brain is connected to other facets of our vessel. So can you talk to that holistic side that allows us to, you can talk about the science because I don't know the science, but that allows the part of our brain that makes good decisions to come online?
Yeah. So what you're talking about is, well, first of all, we have like a left and a right brain, right? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can be good at shutting off a part of the brain, which is attached to our emotional side. And we can just look at what we're doing, like the logic side, and just be really successful in that way, right? But what ends up happening, our mind is connected to our body. We have different parts. We have two parts of our mind. One is conscious awareness, and the other is our subconscious, and that's the body.
What percent is?
Yes. So research shows 5 to 10% is conscious awareness, whereas 90 to 95% is your subconscious running the show. And how I like to explain this, it's just like think about you driving to the store, driving to Target, driving to, wherever. And you don't have to think about all of the little things because you're doing 100 things by the time you get into the car and then you get there. From every little turn of the steering wheel, changing the radio, someone's calling you, you forgot to do this task or whatever. The subconscious mind is getting you there automatically. It's on autopilot. So that's 95% or 90% of what is running the show. So the other small percentage is what we're conscious of. And when we are setting out to do something and we're ignoring the subconscious, so say, for example, you have a task, maybe it's like a new project that you're starting and you have a deadline to meet and you feel this rush of energy when you're doing the tasks that you're doing, but it's almost like you're not able to calm down. Like you're running on stress, you're running on fumes. Can you relate to that at all? I know I can.
No, not at all. I'm never running on fumes. I have everything tucked and dialed in the spot, and my ducks are in a row, and nothing ever goes sideways.
Yeah. So what you're doing is consciously, you know that you have this deadline, you know exactly what you need to do. And entrepreneurs are really good about that, right? Like these are the things that I need to do, or maybe they have an operating system that's helping them find out like what it is that they need to do. But they're ignoring their subconscious mind. They're ignoring their body. So maybe they're tired, but they're pushing through. They're just sipping on some caffeine, or they are, they have the dull headache, or they're not hydrating. They're not taking care of their body. So then as you're pushing through, like I had mentioned earlier, you are burning through your energy. And what ends up being depleted is a lot of these minerals, a lot of the body's reserves that you need in order to use energy, to have your intuition be alert, to tune into that gut feeling. And that's the other side of the brain, right? It's like I'm able to tune into my emotions. I'm able to tune into this feeling, that excitement, that energy. And it's like if we shut that off, we're not going to be taking aligned action. We're going to be taking action from force. So the mind and the body are connected. And if you start to use the mind body connection, where you're taking care of the body and you're making decisions from not only the conscious mind, but you're tuning into like, how does this feel? Does this feel aligned? What is my gut telling me also, right? Then you're going to be in more alignment when you're making these decisions versus if you're just ignoring that part. Now, what I will say is going back to this running on fumes, if you're ignoring the subconscious mind, that is the part of the mind that we have something called neuroception, and it's our ability to perceive our environment and see if there's a threat. So this project deadline that I'm talking about, if your subconscious mind is perceiving it as a threat and you're putting pedal to the metal all the way down, it's telling you it's not safe. Where you and I both know, like, it's safe. Like, this is what I want to do. This is like going to get me the next goal that I'm trying to hit. Like, this is where I want to go. But if you're ignoring this part, like these feelings, these emotions that are coming up from the subconscious mind, you're not going to be taking that aligned action. So there's going to be a disconnect from the mind and the body. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And I'm curious. So when I've been in the states of running on fumes, I can't even get myself to calm down enough to make the connection. So how do you help? How do people do that? Because I get it intellectually. Like, I get it that, yes, since most of my decision making is subconscious, I should calm my nervous system so I can make a better decision in my conscious mind. However, my conscious mind is so domineering that I don't see the value in the subconscious when I'm in that running on fumes state.
Yes. So the first way that you do this is with breath. So what happens, and if I want, all the listeners out there, like I want you to think about a time where you have been in this situation and you feel like you're running on fumes and you're just trying to get the project done or whatever it is that you're focused on. How do you think you were breathing at that time? More than likely, most of you would say dysfunctionally. And what dysfunctional breathing is when the breath is short and shallow, you're breathing from the chest, and it's more than 12 breaths per minute. So you might not even, and then some people might even say, I'm holding my breath. Like I catch myself holding my breath. So what's happened is when you're doing that, when you have dysfunctional breathing, when you're holding your breath or it's short and shallow, you're sending that signal to the body, the subconscious mind, that we are in danger. There is a threat. So if you can first start with your breath, breathe in fully, so we can all try this together. Hopefully you guys are not driving. I mean, if you are driving, this one's fine to do, to be honest. But just taking a breath in and imagine your ribcage expanding and your belly will kind of go out a little bit. First, breathing in, just deep breath. And let the air come to the chest second. So imagine again the ribcage expanding. Full breath in through the nose, and then just exhale it out through the nose or the mouth. Try to lengthen the exhale. And if you were just to take a few breaths, noticing you can elongate the breath. Exhaling out. What's going to happen here is that the nervous system gets the signal that we're not in danger because our breathing, the first thing to start to get choppy and slow is our breath when we're running from a tiger, when we're running from a lion. What happens is our brain gets stupider and our legs get stronger. That's exactly what's going on. Blood moves away from your organs. I'm talking about your digestive tract, your hormonal system, everything, neurological health, everything. Like blood moves away from brain, from digestive tract, and it moves to legs so that you can run faster. Because that's how our bodies are designed. We're designed to have fear, but we're designed to have fear when we're in a real threat situation. When are we ever in a real threat situation as an entrepreneur?
Life or death.
Yeah.
The answer that you're wanting is not often. The answer that we feel is more often. Like we feel like, oh no, I'm going to ruin my reputation. I'm going to not get this client. I'm going to sound stupid on this podcast. I'm going to not say, like, I'm going to misspell a word and the trolls on the internet are going to attack me. Like we feel like some of these actions are a real threat, but they're not a threat to our human body. They're a threat to our psyche.
That's right. So everything that you just shared right now is all perception. How your mind is processing the information of, I'm about to get on this podcast, I'm going to make a fool of myself, whatever it is, what are the people going to think about me? That's not real danger.
Right.
But you're thinking it's real danger because, of course, deep down, we all want to be accepted. We want to be good at what we do. We want to be liked. We want to be accepted, right? However, that's not real threat because, and this is how we know that it's perception. You could have two people and they're going on, they have the same situation happening to them. Let's say like they are identical and they have the same path in life. They're doing everything. One could be a nervous wreck and just think the worst case scenario about everything, have all these, all these beliefs and stories of I'm not good enough, people aren't going to like me. And then you can have the other one who's like, dude, I am so lucky. Things just work out for me. Boom, 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 boom. Same situations are happening. Even if it's like, I didn't land that client. One's like, oh my gosh, my life is over. The other one's like, thank God I dodged a bullet, right? So it's all perception and it's how your mind has been perceiving the data that's going through. Someone that's been through trauma, hard situations in life are going to perceive situations in a lot more threatening way than someone that has not been through trauma, who can see things from a completely different lens. And so it's all perception. And what happens is when you can start to change how mind is perceiving the situation in a way that you're able to use your mind more usefully and it's more helpful. Because imagine if you were to get on this podcast and you had like, I'm going to rock this. This is easy. I love talking, right? This is my zone of genius. Here I go. You're not sending the threat response in the body. Mind's more clear. Breath is more stable. Confidence is turned on. Versus how you're thinking in another way. This is dangerous. Breath is short and shallow. I'm going to F this up. It's going to be a completely different situation, right? So yeah, it's perception. And what can happen is if you can clear how the mind is perceiving a situation, intellect gets stronger, intuition strengthens, creativity strengthens, ability to strategize and be strategic strengthens, which is what every entrepreneur needs in order to have the energy, the fuel, the focus, the clarity to go after the dreams that they have deep in their heart. And so fear is really the thing that's getting in the way. So that is what I help a lot of people do, is just clear this fear.
And the fear is just a perception. So I just recently read the book, last year, Building a Second Brain. And he just, in one of his newsletters, released, I forget his name, so sharing the book because I don't remember the guy's name, but he talks about how we're moving into the age of perception. And I find that to be so resonating for me because my background of trauma and betrayal and things that I've experienced in my life has given me a lens. And that lens created, in one way, some magnificent results in my life. And then on the other hand, it neglected a whole part of me that I wanted to bring with me that makes the journey more enjoyable and connected and belonging and acceptance and fulfilling. And so I started down the path of shifting my perception so I could start understanding what's a threat, what's not a threat, really understanding who I am and who I'm not, what belongs to me, what doesn't belong to me, what I really want to do. That was kind of the start of my journey where you and I even connected. And then now I feel like, but now just in business and so forth, the profoundness of what you're doing is really meaningful to productivity. And I didn't actually feel that originally. What I felt originally was I would do these breath work sessions with you, or I would just do it on my own, and my body wanted to collapse. I would breathe, just even like the breath work we just did. I had not given my body that level of breath and attention. And so when I would do it, I really felt like I could fall asleep. Like I'd just do 2 or 3 deep breaths and my body would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so relaxed. I'm going to collapse and fall asleep. Still, if I'm burning the candle at both ends, my body will do that. And that's an alert to me that, hey, you need to slow down. The journey, though, as I continue to go on it, and Megan, you have been so helpful to me in all of this, has been so profound for me that I've actually introduced it into my business. So Megan you recorded for us some 5 to 10 minute, 5 to 7 minutes even, breath work sessions that I can do with my team before we get on a meeting. So one of the breathwork sessions is designed to draw out the creativity of the team. The other is designed to draw out the vulnerability in the team, like sharing with confidence. And the other one is designed for execution and getting things done. Well, we use the one recently that we needed to be able to share with confidence and we call it our WTF meeting. It's our, like, what the hell's going on? Let's have a conversation. So we used this breath work that you gave us for our WTF meeting, and we probably had 20 things on the list that we were going to talk about. And we only usually get to 1, 2, or 3. We used the first part of the meeting to do this breath work that you gave us. And then we literally got through every single item so fast. In the same allotted time, we got through all of our talking points. And not only did we discuss it, we made decisions on it. And they actually turned out to be really good decisions. So this feeling like you're slowing down to go faster is something that entrepreneurs hate doing. We don't like to slow down to go faster. We just want to go fast. And breathing feels like slowing down. Like, why the hell do I need to breathe? The breathing can just happen while I'm executing. But I've personally experienced in my own life and my own business the power of attending to my psyche or my my mind, body, soul connection. I don't even know how you call it, my nervous system. And then helping the people I'm around do the same thing so that we're all in this like energetic bubble. It allows us to make decisions. And I know you probably have science for it and all the reasons, but you did it for me. You gave it to me. So this is something we're kind of co-creating because this is the first time you've done it, right?
That's right. And I want to first just acknowledge you for creating a climate or culture for your team, because what you're doing is you're changing the culture, which is how entrepreneurs, I think, are evolving to. If you're able to take care of your people and your people feel taken care of, which is why I think the productivity is going to happen because you're going to have people that feel taken care of. And like I said, everyone wants to feel accepted. Everyone wants to feel taken care of, like they are important. And that's exactly what you're doing with this. So I just want to first acknowledge you there. I love that.
No, I don't get too much credit. I've done it way wrong many times. And so this is all like school of hard knocks. I get better each time. The thing that I have going for me is I just keep getting up and I just keep going.
Yeah. So I think you and I talked about like, what does your team need? So Staci and I sat down and we had this conversation of we meet 3 times a week and this is what the intention that we want for each of those meetings. And then I created a short tool that they can whip out right before their meeting so that they set that intention. They're feeling connected to their body. They're feeling connected to their mind, their purpose, their intention. And that was the motivation behind, doing this. We need to make it short. We need to make it effective. And the one that you guys did in particular, the sharing with confidence, I really looked at, again, going to the root of what does every human feel when they're sharing something, right? You can feel like, is it going to be good enough? Or very excited to share this because you've worked your butt off and you want to show, right? You want to show what we've done. Yeah. But there can be this hesitation of like, did I do good enough? Did I do enough? Is it going to be accepted? Is it going to be liked? So I brought them through a process of first listening to that internal voice that we all have. We just tune it out a lot. Give it a chance to be like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. And then I walked them through a somatic practice, which is the awareness of where are you storing that feeling in your body, whether it's excitement to share or you're feeling a little anxious to share, and then bringing the breath to that area of the body so that you can clear it. When we clear that, that's what gives you the confidence to share with confidence, to share with like, I got this energy. I'm being supported by my team, by my leader. And as a result, like you said, we're able to get so much done. And I love that. And I think that if people could just, like you said, take some time to first start off slow, you're going to go faster. One of my mentors that I've worked with, she always says, if you want to go faster, slow down. So I think that's exactly what you're doing is having just some intentional mindfulness at the beginning, and it's setting the tone for the rest of the meeting.
This has been such a huge growth area for me because we joke that I'm like fire aim. I just go execute and then I figure out what the heck I'm doing later. And this has been my life's journey of learning this. But I don't think I'm alone in this as an entrepreneur. I think our entrepreneurs are quick starters. We're good at getting things going, getting things started, and we're really okay with figuring it out as we go, like jumping out of the plane and building the parachute as we're landing. Like we have the stomach for it. But sometimes we lean too heavily on our stomach for it and neglect just the visceral reality of the situation. But there's psychological blocks that people have even just to lean into the practice. How much of that is biochemical versus psychological? Because I know you do both in parallel, like helping people change their hormones and balance their internal chemistry in addition to breath work and reframing their perceptions.
So it's both, but it goes back to what I was sharing earlier about this perceived threat. So if you have someone who's having a lot of psychological blocks, fear of rejection, perfectionism, self-doubt, like these are some common ones, right? Like fear of failure, fear of success. So let's just use those as an example. If you're having a lot of that come up, that's sending off that signal in the body that whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's going on and doing a live on social media or it's giving a presentation, what's happening on a biochemical level is the body it's like your organs have to work so much harder because, like I said, the blood is rushing to the legs because there's a fear response. And so thinking about digesting food, or even reproductive for females or males, all of that gets put on the back burner when you're in a fear situation. So if you're having these constant psychological blocks, which is really fear or anger, things like anger, if you're holding on to anger or resentment, things like that, the same thing is happening in the body. Those, you're not thinking about getting frisky, or you're not thinking about procreating, digesting, like eating, anything like that. So on a biochemical level, hormones, if you're pumping out a whole lot of cortisol, and when your cortisol is pumped out, your sex hormones like progesterone, testosterone, not happening. So that's, again, going to the burnout question. Like, you could be pumping out so much cortisol in your body that as an end result, you're going to have hormonal issues later. That's not going to happen like today, right? But it's going to happen down the road if this is something that you're familiar with, if you're in a chronic state of stress.
I wanted to just double click on the anger and that cycle that people can get into. So could that be a really early sign of burnout? Because you could be experiencing, like, I'm frustrated with this, I'm upset about this, so-and-so did this, the system broke down, these things happen. Could that be an early sign to clear that energy and change that perception in the moment?
Yes and no. So really, I look at frustration, and this is from a personal level and also just knowing a lot about like my human design. So I'm in a state of frustration. I know that I'm trying to force something that shouldn't be happening. So sometimes, like, I don't know if it's necessarily a sign of burnout. You could be avoiding, going back to our conversation of avoiding the body. You could be avoiding those signs that your body was giving you, like maybe a gut instinct of like, don't do this, and then you did it anyway.
So it's like a sign of misalignment.
Yes. I think that frustration comes more from misalignment. Now with anger and resentment, that's the same thing's happening in the body, but instead of your legs getting stronger, your jaw's getting stronger, because the purpose of anger is to bite. And so, as you know, Staci, because we've talked about this a lot, the reason we feel an emotion is because it's wanting us to take action on something. So if we're feeling resentful about something, it's wanting us to go back to change something that's already happened. That's impossible. You can't already change what's happened. It's done. And so what ends up happening is we use a lot of our energy towards going back, feeling that emotion to try to go back and change something that can't be changed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could today, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, damn, I feel resentment towards either relationship issue, a work situation, whatever it is, if you can have the awareness that resentment is trying to get you to go back and change something that you cannot change, no matter how you try to spin it, how you try to argue it, it's done, right? Then you're going to free up so much more energy to go after what it is that you want to be focused on versus going back to change something that cannot be changed.
Until I actually experienced this with you, I thought this was not doable. Like, it sounds a little woo-woo. Like, how in the world can you just sit with me for an hour, change my perception around resentment, and then I can be out of that completely transformed? I didn't think that that was possible. But you've done it multiple times with me on hour-long sessions where I come with some charged energy around something, whether I'm over-attaching to the past or over-attaching to the future, and making it mean something that's not serving me. And yes, I self-reflect, I journal, I ask myself questions, I do inner child work, I do all of the things that are modalities of transforming unpleasant emotion or energy into a more productive emotion or energy. I know how to do all of that. But there are times when we can't help ourselves. So, and I noticed this in business, so I'll parallel it to business. So I help 7-figure entrepreneurs find their integrators so that they can actually build a business they own that doesn't own them. What I have found is that when you're trapped in the operational chaos of your business, you cannot save yourself. You're the person in it. You're so in it that you don't have the awareness to really pull yourself out of it. What happens though over time is that you have consultants come in, systems get put in place. And over time, you don't need those consultants as much because you have better systems and protocols in your structure. I think the same is true here with this. Like when you're overly in your conscious mind and not attached to your subconscious at all, which is your visceral being, you can't solve it with your conscious mind. And what we try to do is we try to solve it with our conscious mind, but it's deficient. There's nothing wrong with your conscious mind. It's just deficient in solving the problem that it needs to get solved. And what you do is masterful because somehow you get into my subconscious mind and help me move the energy in a way that's not just in my mind, it's in my body. Like I'll leave a session and I will feel like I just got a full body massage. My whole spine is decompressed. I'll feel so much more clear. I couldn't even go back to the way of thinking that I had before I had the session if I wanted to, because it's like I'm Dory. I just forget, like escape. Hey, it's spelled just like escape. Like I go la la land and I can't even like remember anything. So it's not like you're not hypnotizing me. You're not doing NLP. You're not doing anything like that. You're just, I don't even know what you do, but it's like a miracle and it transforms me. But it's also super quick because you didn't even have to be there and it worked for my team and our productivity. So I feel like people just have to experience it because I don't even know how you can explain it. You're probably better at it than me.
It is. Yeah. So, what I will say is like, if for the person out there that feels like there's some type of block that they can't get past mentally, emotionally, if you feel like you have these, the constant or familiar, I don't want to say constant, but familiar emotions, fear, urgency, anger, resentment, frustration, all of that. Guilt is a big one, right? Or shame, like when we attach our identity to something. Mm-hmm. If those are coming up, then you're spending a lot of time, wasted energy on how you are perceiving it. And it's not just about doing mindset work. So like Staci said, it's on a visceral level. Sometimes doing the mindset work can get you caught up deeper in it to where you feel it even more because you're just trying to find a solution and you're trying to figure it out. And so I will say, like, if you can resonate with that and you feel like you're just looping in thoughts and looping in emotion, that's where this can be really helpful because there's a specific way that I'm doing it. I'm not going to share all my secrets on here, but come out and to experience it, to see that there is a clearing that happens. And like Staci said, you don't even feel the same way that you felt towards the thing, and you see it in a completely different way. It's almost like it's just cleared. You're free from it. And I want to reiterate that this is the most important thing with being an entrepreneur is we need our mental clarity, we need our focus, we need our energy so that we can lead a team, we can lead a business, we can launch the programs, the things that we're doing in a way that feels aligned and not forced and not how everyone else is doing it. Like we have a lot of creatives that are meant to be here doing their thing. And it's so important to be able to connect to your body and use your mind to get there, to follow that first initial, like, I have this idea. I want to go after it. How can you do that more effectively? Connecting the mind and the body. Stop trying to do the logic thing. It's out of style. It's out of style. Like, seriously, this is the way that we're moving towards being an embodied entrepreneur. And that means you're not only using the logic of your mind, but you're using your body to make informed decisions, to do what's best for you, the business, the team. And once you can tap into how to do that, sky's the limit.
You have helped me so much become a more embodied entrepreneur, for sure. And it's helping me make better decisions. It's helping me be a better leader. It's helping me to let go of the shame about the way I was doing it before, which all of that is clearing the things. And not only that, you've helped me to, maybe we can end with this, to do the 2 breaths and the long exhale, because I feel like do 5 rounds of that, because if people can experience that, I feel like that was so helpful for me as a tool. after you got me to really be embodied, this is a tool that I feel like helps me stay embodied. So when I have moments where, oh, that email didn't sound right, or that text message, or I said that thing, or, that client said no, but this client said yes, like all of those little things that have happened throughout your day that you can't control, when those things happen and I find myself attaching meaning to it that's not constructive, I'll just do these 5 breaths and I'll clear it and then move on, because I really didn't do anything wrong and nothing bad happened. It just felt like, oh, I wish it would have happened differently. So I want to know two more questions. We'll end with the breath work and then we'll see where people can connect with you. But my last 2 questions are, one is, what does success look like for you? Or what does it mean to you?
My gosh. Success is more, to me, it is a feeling of fulfillment. It's like a feeling of, I am here doing what I was called to do. And I think, a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that, of just this knowing inside that they're meant for more, and they're going after it. They're doing it. Whatever stage I'm at right now in my business, it's all a success, because I think that, this is one of my favorite things I love that I've heard once before. In school, we get the lesson and then we get tested. But in life, we get tested and then we get the lesson. So for me, it's about success is really just about whatever stage I'm at, taking aligned action and knowing that I'm learning as I'm going and it's fun. So that would be another, I would say, pillar of success for me, is like, am I having fun? Am I creating freedom? Am I helping to change lives? Even if that's, the calls that I have with clients every day, I feel so successful because I know the ripple effect is happening in their families, in their businesses. And to me, that's success, and being able to spend that with the people that I love the most, friends and family.
I love that. What projects are you most excited about right now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm wanting to start a podcast. Yeah. And it's all about being meant for more, having that feeling inside and just really going out there and doing the thing, being meant for more. So that's an exciting adventure that I'm about to embark on. And then just working with the people I'm working with. And I'm sure this year programs are going to be created with helping more entrepreneurs be embodied. So that's something I'm really excited about. And yeah, I would say those things.
I'm excited about all of your embodiment stuff as well, because I feel like we're doing it. You're helping me do it. You're doing it. We're doing it. It's helping other people do it, which is also helping teams, which is also helping everybody be better human beings around their dinner table, which is helping to develop the next generation of leaders. So there's just such a beautiful ripple effect of entrepreneurs becoming embodied. So I love that you're doing this. So to give folks a taste of embodiment, do you want to do your 5 breaths?
Yeah, let's do that. So with this breathing, I just want to say, first of all, if you're driving, do not try this. If you're driving, if you're by water, don't try this. You want to be sitting down, or lying down, just as a safety precaution. But this breath is called, so you can call it sniff, sniff, sigh, where you take 2 breaths in. It's also called the physiological sigh. It's the fastest breath work to change the biochemistry of the body. So if you feel like you're in this anxious state, if you feel stressed, whip this baby out. Do it for at least 5 to 6 breaths. It will change the biochemistry. You can always do it for longer. So first, everyone take a big exhale out. And then when you're ready, take a breath in. So breathe. Pause. Breathe in. And then exhale out with a sigh. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe in. Sigh it out. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe in. Sigh it out. Just 2 rounds just like that. Deep breath in. Pause. Breathe in. Exhale out. One last time. Deepest breath in. Pause. Breathe in. Exhale out. And just keeping the eyes closed, just notice how you feel in your body. Notice if your shoulders dropped a little bit. Notice if it's easier to breathe. Notice the quality of your mind, your thoughts. Maybe it's a little quieter. And then just notice the sensations that you feel in your body. You might feel like a rush of energy, a little lighter. And then open your eyes when you're ready.
Feel like a different person.
So it can be quick and easy, you know? The stuff doesn't have to take long, but it's really about making a mindful decision to connect to the body. You're doing something for your health, you're doing something for your energy, you're having more mental clarity because of it, and then you take action on something instead of just being in your habitual state of taking action. Like, just pause, do something that is going to help you recharge that energy, and then go.
Where can people connect with you to feel like this more often?
Yeah. So my website is megwarrencoaching.com. You can find me there. And then Instagram, my handle is I am Megan Warren. You can find me on Instagram. So yeah, I would say those 2 places. And then my email, you can, if you want to link it below.
Yeah. We'll link her website, her social media handles. I love our conversations, Megan. I love all of your visceral wisdom that you have for helping ambitious leaders be embodied so they can be more productive in their eyes open work that they do, while also creating more eyes closed peace along the journey. So you're helping me do it, and I love it. And I hope that this helps a lot of other folks do it too. So thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much. I've loved helping you, and you know how much I love you. So this has been fun.